So, what if that whole traditional path to financial security, the 9 to 5, the 401k, what if it was all designed just to keep you running in place? Well, today we're going to dive into a movement that says it has a way out, especially for people of African descent. It's called the Cryptowoke Financial Sustainability Movement. And let me tell you, it has some really bold ideas about building wealth.
So what's this movement really all about? In this explainer, we're going to unpack its core philosophy. We'll get to know the founder, who actually calls himself a financial therapist, and then we'll look at the specific programs they offer that are designed to help people build real generational wealth.
All right, we've broken it down into 5 parts. First, we're going to tackle the problem they're trying to solve. Then, we'll meet the person behind it all, understand the solutions they're offering, check out the toolkit they provide, and finally, we'll get to the big one, the ultimate goal.
Okay, so first up, what is the fundamental problem that the Cryptowoke movement is trying to fix? Well, they have a name for it, the rat race psychosis.
And this quote right here, this is pretty much the foundation of their entire philosophy. It's a real challenge, right? It's saying, look, either you take control and design your own financial life, or you're going to get stuck living inside a system that, as they see it, really doesn't have your success in mind.
And here's their definition of that system. The movement says it's basically a form of psychological conditioning. A cycle where you just work and work for a paycheck that gives you just enough to survive and keep showing up, but never, ever enough to actually get ahead or find real freedom.
And here's where it gets really interesting. They argue this is no accident. The movement claims that the reason we're not taught real financial literacy in schools is completely intentional. It's a system that's designed to keep people dependent on jobs and debt because, well, someone is profiting from that cycle.
So who's the person driving this whole message? Let's take a look at the movement's founder.
So M'Bwebe Ishangi's background isn't what you might expect. He didn't start in finance. His journey actually includes 30 years as a writer and publisher, and even worked as a brand marketing strategist for the NBA. But then, back in 2017, he made a huge pivot, dedicating himself to sharing what he calls hidden financial knowledge.
And his mission is super clear. He wants to demystify finance, instill what he terms financial dignity, and teach people how to live off their investments instead of just their paychecks. He also has a very specific focus on empowering people of African descent in the United States, or PADAS, and he's even written books on the topic.
Okay, so we've talked about the problem they see. Now let's get into the solution. What does the Cryptowoke movement actually tell people to do about it?
Their approach really boils down to 2 main ideas. First is leveraging awareness, which is all about learning these advanced, hidden strategies to become financially independent. And the second one is called infinite banking. Now, this one's a bit more complex, but the idea is that you essentially become your own bank. You use the cash value of a whole life insurance policy to create a fund you can borrow from for investments, all without going through a traditional bank.
And to make all these big ideas something you can actually do, they provide tools like this black print progress sheet. Think of it as a roadmap. It's a checklist that walks you through real, concrete steps, like improving your credit, creating new income streams, and setting up passive income.
So that brings us to the actual toolkit. How do they teach all this stuff? Let's take a look at the courses and services they offer.
So they have this tiered structure of courses. The big one is the 9-session master course for $540, and it covers advanced topics like velocity banking. That's a method for paying off debt really fast using a line of credit. If you want something shorter, there's a 3-session boot camp, a 1-day intro workshop, and even a course that's just focused on cryptocurrency.
And if we zoom in on that Crypto 101 course, you can see just how hands-on it is. I mean, in the very first session, they take you from the absolute basics of crypto and blockchain all the way to actually helping you set up your first digital wallet.
And for anyone who wants more personalized guidance, they offer one-on-one financial therapy sessions. There's a 30-minute Gold VIP call for $50, or you can go for the 60-minute Platinum VIP session for $99, which also gets you a financial overview and one of his autographed books. All right, so you go through the courses, maybe you do the therapy sessions. You learn these new strategies, but where does it all lead? Let's talk about the big picture end goal of this whole movement. Well, the program makes a huge claim. It says it teaches the cryptic or hidden strategies that some wealthy families have supposedly used to keep and grow their wealth for the last 2 centuries, even through things like recessions and market crashes.
So, the end game here is a complete transformation of your financial life. It's about going from just surviving paycheck to paycheck to actually thriving and living off your investments.
The idea is to get rid of that constant financial anxiety and, maybe most importantly, to create a real legacy of wealth that you can pass down to your family.
And we're going to end this explainer on the central question the movement really wants its followers to think about. It's asking you to see your finances as more than just a tool for yourself, but as a foundation for your entire family's future. The question is simple, but it's powerful. What would it really mean for you to build something that could last for generations to come?